Anything can happen in sports and often does. What's right, what's wrong, and who's just crazy? We decide. Inbounds and out of bounds now. With Tiki and Tierney.
All right, and let's roll here, Mr. Barber. Your Giants, they fired longtime head coach Tom Coughlin last week. We know that, but they retained GM Jerry Reese, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, and now they promoted OC. That will be Ben McAdoo. He's the new head coach. So, inbounds, out of bounds, Tom Coughlin is the main reason for the struggles the past couple of years.
I can't say he's the main reason. I think the main reason is that the Giants have suffered injury after injury after injury. Even some of these young kids who you couldn't really have counted on to be stars for your team, they can at least be viable players. They got injured. So I got to say this one's out of bounds, but it feels that way because everybody else that's left, really, it's everybody, got promoted.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's right.
I know.
For me, this is clearly out of bounds. I'm with you. I'm surprised you didn't even mention Jerry Reese's name. You brought up the injury.
Right.
So Jerry Reese has been an abomination the last couple of years. There's no way around it. He swung and missed a million times in the draft. And I know you had him on the show last week when I was out, but he let Antrell Roll go, one of the few leaders that the Giants had. They were really devoid of any vocal leadership. He kind of solidified that third level. So I could actually make a very strong case. The only reason they've been remotely competitive is because of Tom Coughlin. So this is absolutely out of bounds for me.
Are you in or are you out?
Yeah, more on the coaching front there, partner. The Browns bring in highly sought-after former Bengals OC Hugh Jackson, coached the Raiders as well for a minute back in the day. So the last 5 coaches fired in the AFC North, oh boy, have all been by the Browns. Inbound, that is amazing. Inbounds, out of bounds. Jackson will continue the trend and be the next AFC North head coach whacked.
That is a tough question.
That is, because the other 3 guys have been stalwarts. That's a tough one. Which way are you going?
I don't know,
I'm
man.
just going to play the odds and say that that's out of bounds.
Yeah.
I think something, just given the sheer length of time and the percentage of something else having to happen. I mean, I could see John Harbaugh
He's the only
moving on, but I don't see him getting fired.
Yeah, sure. The way this is worded, you know,
You going to say inbounds?
I think you have to say inbound.
I'm going to say out of bounds. I think he's going to do a good job, but tough question, Mike.
Tom was not going anywhere if he keeps making the playoffs the way that he has. Steelers are historically patient, and
so the Bengals.
The Bengals are the same way.
It's a tough one.
I mean,
the toughest one we've ever had.
And yes, Marvin Lewis may leave. He may retire, though.
But it's fired.
Exactly. John
You're
Harbaugh
fired.
may move on, but I don't think he'll get fired. Yeah, it's hard.
So what your official answer is?
I got to say inbounds. I got to say inbounds.
Ah, Hugh. Poor Hugh. I'm going to say out of bounds. I think it's going to be somebody else.
Are you in or are you out?
Just don't know who. All right, we move on. Pat's Pro Bowl defensive end Chandler Jones. We hit this earlier. Rushed to the hospital. Actually, he walked to a police station after reportedly smoking synthetic marijuana, which currently is legal? Synthetic marijuana is legal in Massachusetts? Wow. All right, so if the report's true, this would be Jones's first violation. Jones should be suspended for this game against the Chiefs. I'm going to say out of bounds.
Yeah, it's out of bounds.
And not to give him a pass. I mean, that's obviously very dopey. You got to hold yourself to a higher standard than that, or at least get your hands on something that's going to turn you into a nut job. But with the domestic issues and some truly egregious matters that we've seen, I'm not going to rant and rave about somebody getting high on marijuana.
I'm not either. And let's not forget, there was no legal or, police action taken here. It wasn't like he was arrested. It wasn't like he did something ridiculous, got in a car and drove and ran into a pole. He actually walked.
Hey, dumb enough, he brings himself to the station.
He walked to the police station.
Hey, officer, I did something wrong.
And was not arrested. And even if he was tested positive, he still wouldn't be suspended. So I'm going to say this is out of bounds as well.
Are you in or are you out?
All right, Tiki, part of the brethren here, running backs, the stable. Arian Foster, who's, when he's healthy, he's pretty awesome, but not healthy very much. Reportedly, the Texans will release him despite 4 seasons where he had over 1,200 yards for the Houston Texans. So the question is, inbounds, out of bounds, he's still viable starter in the NFL.
I think he's still a viable player in the National Football League. So I'm going to say inbounds. It's just he's got to be limited. He can't be one of those guys that's going to get you 300-plus touches a year. He's probably a 10 to 12 carry guy, 3 or 4 catch guy a year, just to keep him healthy. it's whether it's a knee or a groin or a calf or a hamstring. It's one thing after another, and it's not, a couple week knee, groin, hamstring, calf. It's year or half the season.
What do you always tell me about soft tissue?
Yeah, man, it's bad.
I'm surprised
cells,
you're
man.
saying inbounds here a little bit.
It's bad cells.
I
But
wouldn't touch 'em.
Viable as a player.
Viable starting running back in
Is
the
that
NFL.
what it says?
It says starting.
Yeah.
You going to change it up, Lotus?
No,
Come on,
because
go out of bounds.
there's not a ton of viable starting running backs in the National Football League. I'm serious.
I hear you.
There's a lot of teams that I look at their running backs. I'm like, come on, really?
Thinking about a comeback these days, are you?
Not a chance.
Okay. I'm going to say that he is no longer a viable starting running back. I just don't see it. Every year he's hurt. Every year it's the same old song and dance. When you hit the wall, what do you tell me, Tiki? You go crash him. You just fall off the cliff. And unfortunately for Arian Foster, I think he's hit the cliff. So I'm going to say out of bounds.
Are you in or are you out?
This is just the end to a very sad story. Former Nebraska Rams running back Lawrence Phillips is found dead in his prison cell. Apparent suicide, although his family has refuted that. For whatever that's worth. They said he would never do that. Anyway, Phillips, of course, various legal issues, allegedly threw his girlfriend down the stairs, real violent past. Let's face it, not a good guy. I mean, I'm sorry. I know he's not with us, and I don't want to take this too far, but he wasn't a good person in a lot of areas. 1996 draft, 6th overall pick, played just 20 games as a starter, and he ran for under 1,500 yards. So the question is, Phillips is the saddest waste of talent in sports history, inbounds, out of bounds. For me, I'm going to say out of bounds because I'm going to look more at people who were good-hearted and things just went awry. And to me, it always starts and ends with Len Bias. This is the reason I've been very open about this. I have never touched cocaine, nor will I ever. It scared me straight when he died in '86. I watched this kid at Maryland. I was 12. And he was chiseled out of granite. He could shoot. He was a beast, man. And he had just signed that big deal with Reebok, one of the first $1 million deals. When I saw Len Bias die, that honestly, no nonsense, that changed the way I thought about life in a lot of ways. So for me, it's him. And secondarily here, how about Dwight Gooden? If Dwight didn't waste a lot of nights, sniffing whatever he sniffed, he was good. He could have been Bob Gibson.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that put this out of bounds for me. One, saddest. I wouldn't say saddest because I don't think I feel that emotion when I think about him. And sports history, he was certainly a waste of talent. I think a lot of NFL teams now look at character issues and things that happen in college. It can be dismissed as, he was just young and stupid. Because of Lawrence Phillips, they don't discount that anymore. So certainly a waste of talent, but not the worst, saddest waste of talent in sports history. Out of bounds.
Tune in next time for another edition of Inbounds or Out of Bounds.